'Tis the season of gratitude, and I have to reflect on something major that happened this year, and that was the Monthly Giving Summit. In September, more than 2,100 of you from 47 countries registered to focus your time and attention on recurring giving. Snaps. Now, this event would not have been possible without the support of our partners. At the growth level, Neon One, I Donate, Give Butter, and Donor Perfect, and our sustainers, Community Boost, and Letter Labs. They believed in me for the first ever virtual global event solely focused on creating subscriptions for good. Please give them a virtual here round of applause. And with that, we're coming back, y'all. The second annual virtual Monthly Giving Summit will happen February 26th and 27th. We are not making you wait a whole year. It's going to be over 2 half days again, 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So save the date and apply to be a speaker this year at monthlyGivingSummit.com. I hope to see you there. Now, before diving into today's episode, if you're a fan of this show, you might also enjoy the Nonprofit Podcast, hosted by DonorBox Education and Community Engagement Manager Jenna Lynch and fundraising strategist Britt Stockard. I have been very fortunate to be a recent guest, as it is packed with immediately implementable ideas that will up your fundraising game. So check out the Nonprofit Podcast and let me know what you think.
We didn't really change our thinking too much on November 15. But as you started receiving more information from the union around Canada Post and from Canada Post themselves, you realized, wait a minute, this is way bigger than what is going to be over in a week or two. So my first gut response is, oh no, we're spending all this money on print and we're not going to even recoup our cost. And so not only could this affect the donations, but with the additional expense, it just makes it a bigger loss. So we started, honestly, just a discussion on how are we going to cut our losses? What are we going to say yes to print, no to print? We didn't want it just to hit late for everybody. So that's where we landed, was just in that spot of, okay, we don't like our options right now.
I'm Dana Snyder, your host of the Missions to Movements podcast. And my path to philanthropy has been anything but traditional. This show is your weekly mastermind, designed to give you the ideas, insights, and support you need to push the boundaries of what's been done before in nonprofit marketing and fundraising. Whether you're looking to build a magnetic monthly giving program, elevate your personal brand, or create partnerships that amplify your impact, this space is for you. I'll bring you solo episodes and conversations with industry leaders, offering actionable strategies and fresh perspectives that will move you and your mission forward. Let's turn your mission into a movement. Hi, friends. Today on Missions to Movements, we're going to be talking about something extremely relevant that is happening right now if you're listening to this podcast live in December of 2024. And that is about, there is a big Canada Post strike, but there's an organization that I met through a LinkedIn post of a friend of mine that is taking a very creative approach to how their donors are receiving direct mail door to door. So today with us, Shellie Power. She's Executive Director of Hope Center Ministries. Thank you, Shellie, so much for being here.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me, Dana. This is a treat.
Of course, of course. Okay, so just for starters, can you share a little bit about your background? I know you've been with the organization for quite some time, and then also about the mission of what you do.
Absolutely. I have a background in special education, and I joined the team at Hope Center Ministries in 2008. We are a very small nonprofit organization in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and we provide spiritual care and belonging for individuals with disabilities. And so
Amazing.
primarily, our clientele or our members are adults living with disabilities, and we try to facilitate connection with community, with each other, with their faith, and with the bigger picture, with purpose and meaning. And my passion definitely is on inclusion.
I love that. Very important this time of the year as well during the holidays. which you are creating through what you didn't expect to be doing.
That's very
So
true.
I want to bring everybody into kind of the state of what's happening. So for many US listeners, or even those listening outside of the country, you might not be aware that on November 15th, about 55,000 Canada Post workers went on strike. So I did some research because I wanted to be thoughtful about the massive impact of how this actually creates this ripple effect into lots of different things. When we think about in the US, if you can just imagine not receiving the postal service right now during the holidays, it impacts lots of things with nonprofits and outside. So about 10 million packages still need to be delivered. On December 2nd, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business said that the strike had cost small and medium-sized businesses $765 million. I'm assuming that's December 2nd. So we're probably over billion, at this point. On November 29th, the Canada Post asked the mail services of all other countries to stop accepting or sending mail to Canada. That's huge. The Service Canada announced it would delay the distribution of 85,000 passports. And at this point, we are a month in, right? As we're recording this, it's December 16th. So when this comes out in a couple of days, it's over a month. Something else that I was reading that I don't really think about is your version of like Social Security checks. So a lot of people have direct deposits set up, but some don't. And so some literally aren't receiving the funds that they rely on every month. So big issue of what's happening. And in the nonprofit sector, I've seen article about what's happening with organizations and their giving being down year over year because of not having this direct mail ask. So I'd love to hear from you, like on a typical year when there is not a postal strike, what does a direct mail year-end strategy look like for your team?
Yeah, so year end is also Christmas and Happy New Year time and connecting with donors. And we try to plan that out in such a way. So we definitely have a letter pack that is to be delivered and that has, a standard appeal and a year end appeal. We also have a gift that we mail out. It gets used a little bit like a lift note or a lift of response, but it is a calendar that our members, the individuals with disabilities, have made for all of our donors. So that goes to print and gets put in mail queue, as well as we have another segment of just all of the other agencies and all the well wishes. We kind of all put that together. So we start planning. I think our stuff was ready for print
Mhm.
by November 12th.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was sent to printer. And, you definitely try to hit some strategic dates about when the appeal's going to hit the mailbox and then when the calendar is going to come in, and all in hopes of lifting response for a year end that is strong. About 30% of our private donations we count on for our year
Wow.
end appeal.
Okay.
So also typically a Christmas appeal costs us more than the other ones because we put a little bit more in there. We might do color where we would have done black and white. We might include a Christmas card where it would have just been a letter. Again, it's the time of year and leading into also just really wanting to wish our donors the
Of
Merry
course.
Christmas. So it's a more expensive appeal than a Q1 or a Q2, but usually we can count on that.
How many do you normally send out?
So we are a very small organization. We have a direct mail list of about 800. So it's a
Okay.
very small donor list. We have about 480 of those are pretty local to us. The
Okay.
rest are across Canada and the US.
Okay. Got it. So 480. There's a reason why I'm asking this number. And I think you know why I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay. So 30% usually comes in from individual donations this time of the year from direct mail. And thanks to a wonderful mutual friend of ours, Mike Dirksen, he's the CEO of Build Good. I saw the twist that your team took on when this strike happened. So take me back. It's November 15th. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, honestly, on November 15 that it's going to be a hiccup at that point, that
Okay.
it's going to be a couple of days of threatening of strike, and then we're going to be back to normal. So we didn't really change our thinking too much on November 15. But as you started receiving more information from the union around Canada Post and from Canada Post themselves, you realized, wait a minute, this is way bigger than what is going to be over in a week or two. So my first gut response is, oh no, we're spending all this money on
Mm.
print and we're not going to even recoup our cost. And so not only could this affect the donations, but with the additional expense, it just makes it a bigger loss. So we started, honestly, just a discussion on how are we going to cut our losses? What are we going to say yes to print, no to print? We had an immediate conversation with our printer to see what was up with them
Mm-hmm.
and what the queues look like, and asked them to just hit pause for us and give us a couple of days and we'd get back to them.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was just a lot of deliberating back and forth. Like, is this worth it? Do we print everything as is and let it sit in queue and the donors just receive it late? Do we take that chance? Do we not print? Because there were other organizations who were just saying, no, we're going to cancel our year end. And neither one of those felt like the acceptable response to us. We had already put in all of this work on what our year end campaign was going to be. We didn't want it just to hit late for everybody. So
Yeah.
that's where we landed, was just in that spot of, okay, we don't like our options right now.
Okay. And what it turned into is this fabulous, okay, so team, this is where I lead into the LinkedIn post that I saw. They have been, and I want to walk through the strategy of this, hand delivering the direct mail envelopes with, is it cookies?
Mhm.
A baked good?
Yeah.
And ringing the doorbells of the individuals. So how did you, I mean, no one does that. So I'm sure like you stand out. No one does that, which I think is such a beautiful, it reminds me of like carolers coming to your door and just like, here you go. And who doesn't want a nice like cookie treat, and getting to actually meet an individual with the organization, which doesn't happen probably a lot of times. How did you land on doing that? And then walk me through the actual like logistics of
Okay.
doing this.
Well, first of all, welcome to chaos, because that's what it did. But it was creative chaos. It was exciting chaos all at the
Yeah.
same time. So what you need to know is that our direct mail appeal already had been designed with 2 recipes that we were sharing from 2 different individuals who find care and belonging at Hope Center Ministries. So
Okay.
there's recipe cards inside.
Okay.
And we knew that people were going to get it late. We wanted to still celebrate the story. So we thought, well, what if we made a version of one of the recipes? What if we just did
Oh
that?
my goodness. Okay.
And
This is
so
getting even better.
full disclosure, we actually needed to use Costco cookie dough in order to pull this off. So it wasn't the exact recipe, but it was a chocolate chip cookie because inside the mail pack was a chocolate chip cookie recipe.
Okay.
And of course, we started by saying, well, first we're going to call donors and let them know that we're sorry their mail is late. But we're very aware that this is a financial ask. They're aware that we're telling them our financial ask is late. Didn't feel right just making that phone call. Our whole appeal was on how year end was an opportunity for our donors to support the recipe of belonging. And so
Love it.
one of the things that we do around here is we do look at barriers. People with individuals face barriers all the time. And we love trying to skirt around barriers. And so
Mm,
we decided to just hit pause on all of the logistical thing and say, let's go around these barriers. And can we just bring it to the donors? The ones who are getting the calendar, what if we just put it all together as a packet? And instead of calling it our Christmas appeal, which we do in-house, our Christmas mailing. Our holiday mail is being delayed, but we don't want belonging to be delayed. And so
mm.
that kind of became the thing. Belonging should never be delayed. Let's do whatever we can to ensure that belonging won't be delayed.
Oh, Shellie, it's so good. It's just so beautiful. Like in the whole thing.
Well, and so then it was just about identifying the pieces because it was, can we pull a list of Winnipeg only? Yes, we can. We can do that from our CRM. We did call that list a little bit because honestly, it doesn't sound like a lot to make 480 deliveries, but when you start
That does
mapping
sound like a lot, actually.
when you start mapping it out, you just realize this is insane and I don't know. I mean, this was a gift of being small. There are a lot of times where
Mm,
we feel like the smaller have-nots in some of the networks that we belong
yeah,
to, but this was definitely a benefit to being just small and in-house and homegrown, really. So I first approached our staff team because this was going to hijack all other work for
right.
a week, maybe even more. They were all so excited.
It gets me excited. I wish I could be up there delivering cookies for you.
They honestly, every single one of them went, yeah, we're in. That'll be fun. Let's do it. And I have one staff who loves to bake, and so she committed to 14 hours of cookie baking. That's
Oh
just
my. You know what's interesting? This Saturday, my friend and I bake Christmas cookies and we go and we deliver them to friends and neighbors. And I want to say we do a batch of probably around 200.
720 cookies were made.
720 cookies. You know
720
what? I
cookies.
hope she had her Christmas jams on. She recruited some friends. It takes us
Yep.
probably about 4 hours. So, yeah, that is a beast of an effort.
Yeah, so she was baking for an entire long day. The next day, we had staff around tables and we donned gloves and hairnets and we had to package them for delivery. So we
Yeah.
just decided, let's just embrace the silliness of it. Let's take some time. Let's laugh together. Let's do this joyfully
Yeah.
and just see that. I mean, when else do you just sit around a staff table for hours smelling chocolate chip cookies together and laughing about how this next step could go?
And how big is the team for context?
So we had 8 people.
8
We
people.
had
Okay.
we had 8 people, 1 baker, and
Okay.
then yeah, we had 8 people. One of our team is very techy, and he
Okay.
was so excited to lean into the technical side.
Okay.
So he was all about, "There's gotta be an app for this." And
An app
he
for the deliveries?
Mhm.
Okay.
And so he wanted to upload everything and be able to come up with driver routes and optimization, and
Wow.
in the end, we discovered those things are very, very expensive. So
Mm.
we went with a free trial, which had its limitations, but it was kinda good enough. I put out a call for volunteers, so our staff was signing up in teams of 2. Our
Okay.
board members each took a route. And then we were really blessed. We had someone who is a big champion of Hope Center Ministries, recently retired. His wife had heard we were doing this, and he called and he says, "You know what? This just sounds like this would be the best week of my life. Could I please just do as many as you need?" So honestly, he did probably 200 deliveries, and the rest of us
Oh
did the rest.
my
Yes.
goodness.
Yes.
That's
So
incredible.
it was incredible. So, and everybody that we talked to in-house, like even our volunteers and board, they were just excited to be doing something and
Yeah.
not to be doing nothing. And I think that was a really big takeaway, is just nobody had expectations that this was gonna 100% recoup a year-end loss. Nobody had expectations that this was gonna be easy. We all knew that, yeah, there's some logistics here that, I mean, and it's so dynamic. You have to be problem solving in the moment. So I love that everybody just showed up with that perspective and were willing
Yeah.
to jump in to that. And it took us 5 days to deliver. And well, I have so many favorite moments from this, but when I went out with my coworker, I chose to ring doorbells. I mean, there are so many of our donors that I kind of know their names from the list, but I would not be able to pick them out of a crowd. I haven't seen them. Some of them, I don't know how they got on our list. And so
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? I am going to ring the doorbell. I'm going to introduce myself. And I'm just going to say, hey, you know what? Canada Post was unable to deliver our Christmas mailing. So,
Well, and everyone must be like aware, right? They're not receiving mail, clearly.
right, they are.
Okay. So Canada as a culture is very aware that this
Hmm.
is happening. So
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
You see it everywhere. There's picketers in every city. So, and it's causing a lot of frustration. So they right away identify with you, and had so many wonderful at the door conversations. Locked myself in the backyard of a donor's house, had a really good laugh with them, couldn't get out the gate. I mean, in the end, I just said, hey, this is about making memories with Hope Center Ministries. I'm so glad that you're on our list, and I had the opportunity to share this laugh with you today.
Yeah.
We were not knowing how the donors would respond. Like, I at home don't really answer my door. We have Ring cameras, and if
Right.
we don't know the person, maybe we just won't deliver, or we won't open that door. But it was so well received. And the smiles,
Amazing.
the conversations, the thank yous. And in fact, I was with my husband in the mall on a Saturday, and I'm just walking, and someone across said, "Hey, I got my cookies today."
Oh,
And now Winnipeg is not giant, so this can happen. It took me a minute, and my husband's like, "Who is that?" And I said, I don't
don't.
really know, but I'm going to pretend that I do in this moment."
Yeah.
And she had gotten them on Saturday. Her mom is also on our list, had gotten them on, or she had gotten them on Friday. Her mom had gotten them on the Tuesday or the Wednesday. She's like, "I thought I wasn't going to make the cut. My mom called me and told me she got cookies from Hope Center Ministries." And I kind of went,
Oh,
"Where's mine?" And so that it happened a couple of days later. I love that she was anticipating it. I love that
yeah.
she kind of thought she wasn't going to get it. And I love that we could surprise her and give it to her anyways.
I love that. Now, in my monthly giving Slack group, The Sustainers, there are more than 100 nonprofits that share tips and tools to scale their recurring giving programs. And as you might believe, the CRM and fundraising tool conversation comes up a lot. And one that always comes up in conversation is Bloomerang. So if you are in the market to be looking at a complete donor, volunteer, and fundraising management solution, head to bloomerang.co. They have a very intuitive platform that tracks engagement, provides powerful insights so that you can really focus on driving your mission forward. So join thousands of small and medium-sized nonprofits that are already thriving with Bloomerang. And again, you can visit bloomerang.co to elevate your fundraising today. Drum roll, please. In case you missed the announcement, no FOMO allowed here. The virtual monthly giving summit is back February 26th and 27th, bringing together nonprofit leaders, experts, and changemakers from around the world to help you create subscriptions for good. This past September, every speaker was compensated, and that was made possible by our partners at the growth level, Neon One, I Donate, Give Butter, and Donor Perfect, and our sustainers, Community Boost, and Letter Labs. If you are in year-end research mode of some new tools from CRMs to donation platforms, direct mail tools, please do me a favor, click the links in the show notes below to learn more about these amazing partners. And if you are interested in presenting a case study at the next Monthly Giving Summit, please apply. So you can see all of these links down below in the show notes, or head to monthlyGivingSummit.com to learn more and apply to speak. Oh my gosh, what an incredible story. I mean, and so creative. And from the time that, so obviously you went ahead with the printing, did you change anything of the print or on the envelope?
We changed the outer envelope of the ones that were going to be hand delivered. So we just had added special delivery, belongings should never be delayed. And so that they knew that this was coming to their door. If they didn't open it immediately, I wanted it to twig that we had brought it to the door. In the copy of the letter, we did make reference. Again, we didn't know how long this strike was going to last. We didn't know if this was going to be a little glitch. And so I wrote it as, and on top of everything, I am concerned with the ripples of this postal strike and what it might mean for belonging at Hope Center Ministries, and then added the line, belonging should never be delayed, to the copy inside as well. But everything else we kept exactly as is, because we didn't really have the luxury of time to completely redesign.
This is all very quick. What week did this all happen? Did the deliveries happen?
Not last week, but the week before we were finished. Yeah.
So it was like a 2-week
turnaround, it had been
pretty
2
much.
weeks on strike. And then I think week 3 was our delivery week.
I love how it was just all hands on deck.
It kind of was. Yeah.
And we're going to do this and these stories. And I'm sure that just created in a time of the year where I know there's so much going on,
Hmm.
lots of busyness, right? It brought probably the team and the culture of the organization together, right? Too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We had a lot of fun, just as team building, collaboration,
Yeah.
problem solving, all the things you pay for at a good team huddle kind of day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was figuring it out, working together. Who can quick organize the spreadsheet? Who can package these up and keep everything in the right order? It was wonderful to work together on that.
I love it. And like you just said, somebody is a great baker. Great. You run and handle that. Hey,
Exactly.
I love technology. Let me figure
Hmm.
this out. Great. Like letting people also have their moment to shine as the experts that they are in their craft outside of just their normal job description, I think also just brings a light to people, which I think is the other part of this story. And I don't know if it's too early to ask, have you seen any results yet, specifically from the 480 that went out?
Yes. So not all the results have been financial. So like I said, there's so many wonderful conversations.
Yeah.
So we also, right after I finished my delivery, we started our email campaign. And the first one was just to our whole list, basically acknowledging that some people were getting this to their door and the people who lived out of province were so sorry. I wish I could bring you cookies, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That night, and this is atypical for us, but my inbox was filled with responses to that email.
Yeah.
Got my cookies. Thank you so much. What a special treat. Noticed it in my mailbox. I can't remember a mailing that I've actually gotten responses to from the email follow-up that goes to it. Nobody says, "Oh yeah, got my letter today, Shellie.
Right.
Thank you so much for sending it to me." So there's that. Was contacted by someone. There's a lot of elderly people on our list as well.
Mhm.
Checks are their only way of giving. They aren't going to be the demographic that switches over to online giving. Many are, but there's a certain number that won't. And got some emails from them, got some phone calls from them. And one lady, and this really touched me deeply, she says, I really appreciate that what you guys do for your members, you do for across all sectors.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
hadn't actually thought about the missional connection where it's just about going around barriers. So there was that. So our open rates on our emails are way higher, and just the friendly response and the banter and then the donor communication. Financially, we are at about 47% of where we had hoped to be at a typical year end.
Okay.
But you know what? That's going to cover the costs of the mailings. So we also won't be looking at that as a loss.
There you go. Yeah, that's wonderful.
And I do think we do have a large number sitting in queue. And so that will go out as well. So I'm hoping that we'll end this year at about 55%, which is more than half. So
Yes.
we didn't completely tank year end, and we've made lots of memories. And so for
That's
the
right.
community aspect and inviting donors into our community, there's that win.
Yeah. And I wonder sometimes if it's maybe not right now, it's going to be soon. And to see the reflection of that happening and in the coming weeks and maybe a surprise, is there
Mhm.
going to be specific follow up that is segmented just to those 480 people on email that they get something separate?
Yes.
Okay.
So we've already done that. So we are sending out our appeal digitally, and we have segmented to our segment is cookies delivered and no cookies for you.
Have to have some internal chuckle in your naming conventions.
You kind of do, because you have to kind of keep it straight. But yes, so all of the ones who have received cookies have already they got the initial, we were at your door, and then we're sending them the recipes and a digital version of the appeal.
Cool.
And then we've tweaked the other messaging to be like, oh man, I really wish we could have gotten to your door. This is the closest we can get.
Oh, I have an idea. I don't know if
Oh, yeah.
you've thought about this. Do you put videos in your emails?
Sometimes, yes.
What if you pretend that it's like somebody opening, like you film it where somebody's opening a door
Ah,
and like delivering. It's like, we really wanted you to have this as close of an experience as possible. And you can literally have like film saying like, thank you so much for opening the door. Like, here's the recipe in the email below. And I wonder if this is like taking it to the next level, but I wonder if there's a company you could partner with that does, like, I don't know, here in Atlanta, there's like cookie delivery places, like crumbs. I don't know, I'm going to make it up now. But if there's like a partner that would do like an in-kind donation and be able to like deliver them.
That would be really exciting. The difficulty becomes like how it's not in one city.
Yeah. It would have to be somebody that has like a
national.
Or somebody who can ship nationally cookies. That definitely exists.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be really cool because this would be an amazing opportunity for a company that understands what's happening in Canada right now with the post and wants to do something and just needs somebody to like be the person on the other end that sparks the idea. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, no, that would be a fascinating thing to look for. So if that person's listening, hey, give me a call.
I know. I want to literally be looking up like Canada cookie delivery companies. Mrs. Fields, do they deliver in, or Sugar Wish? There might be.
Yeah, I have no idea. But you know what? You're giving me an idea for some of the city centers where some key donors live. It might be easier to just pick and choose a couple.
Yeah. It looks like Mrs. Fields, this is my like super quick Google searching, that Mrs. Fields delivers to, it obviously wouldn't be the recipe of the specific one that you had baked, but it would be close. Yeah, there's a couple of them on here. Regardless of the actual cookie delivery, I think a video showcasing that moment of a door being opened would give you that same effect of people replying to the email and just being like, this is so thoughtful and understanding of the situation we're in. It's so nice to like meet the faces of the team kind of thing.
Well, we did do the week of deliveries. We did a lot on socials, like our stories were constantly scrolling with just some of the hilarity, the piles of cookies, our staff at doors.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're doing a video or maybe even like having some of the photos to showcase the experience. So bringing people into the fold that maybe are outside of your local area, but can still feel that like personalized touch through digital.
Absolutely. One other thing that we are noticing is that almost all of the gifts that have come in are larger than their typical gifts that would have come in. So even though we're only at the 47%, when I am checking in the CRM and just looking, and I'll see like this donor, yes, did give last year, but we're at $25 more than they did. Wow. One gave twice as much. And so those amounts add up over time too.
Of course.
Yeah. We're choosing to look at it all as a win.
Yes. Yes, it is. You should. That's an incredible team effort. It's completely pivoting and having a blast internally and creating really special moments. I think this is something that is going to continue to just come back to you anytime that you do ask moving forward. These donors in the local area are going to have a completely more personalized and deep impact with your organization moving forward. So thank you so much for coming on the show and being open to sharing this as it's all kind of like evolving and happening on your end. And I am going to pray that the strike ends soon, just because it is, as I stated at the very beginning, there's a huge economic impact on what this is happening for individuals and businesses and families. And so thank you for doing what you do. And I love that. Like, you're not going to let the barriers affect it and you're going to create the belonging. Shellie, it's amazing.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Dana, and for cheering us on from where you're sitting. That means so much.
Of course, of course. And I hope, is there anything that you can tell to people that are listening? Is there ways that they can help you? Is there ways that they can help organizations in Canada? Anything you'd recommend?
You know what? I guess I'm thinking more of people who are listening and maybe feeling stuck than how they can particularly help me right now. I think all of us as nonprofits are trying to lean into the online and the digital and reminding ourselves that we're an important part of the community of a whole, like what we have to offer. And so being present in these moments, I think whether it's in a well-executed plan or a chaotic locked in the back backyard kind of way. I think being present wherever you are and in whatever you are doing is super important. And barriers, I think, are actually just permission to try something that you've never tried before, because what do you actually have to lose?
So well said. So well said.
So just, I don't know, I would encourage anybody listening to, if you're feeling stuck or you're feeling like there is a barrier to what you wished could have happened, what's something that you think won't work and you've always wanted to try, and give yourself permission to give it a go. And numbers, I mean, I've often self-conscious about our small numbers, but these small numbers feel really big. And so it was also another way to see our small numbers. So yeah, just different ways to look at what you're doing during these times and be present.
So good. Shellie, you're incredible. If there are people that want to reach out to you, contact you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Best way is through our website. You can contact us through hopecenterministries.org. Just remember that the center is RE, as is all of the Canadian centers.
Yes.
I see all the emails that come through the website. My name is spelled Shellie, so you can also contact me directly, Shellie at hopecenterministries.org. You can find me on LinkedIn. Hope Centers on socials, so usually that's a good way too.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Merry Christmas. And I can't wait to hear the fast forward story of all of this in the months to come. So thank you so much again for being here.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Missions to Movements. If you enjoyed our conversation and found it helpful, I would love for you to take a moment to leave a review wherever you're listening. Your feedback helps us reach more changemakers like you and continue bringing impactful stories and strategies to the show. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button too, so you'll never miss an episode. And until next time, keep turning your mission into a movement.